Hello everyone, welcome to the Skull Session Recruiting Podcast brought to you by BuckeyeHuddle.com. I am Mark Givler, Tony Gerdeman here to my left. We are at the end of the road here at the Ohio State Summer Recruiting Fest event. Some big news which we'll start off with. We did a reaction video to this, but we can't talk about this event without talking about the obvious. 5-star wide receiver Chris Henry Jr. commits to Ohio State at this event, comes out, informs the media of his decision. Tony, you were in there talking to him. It's like he didn't want to tell you, and then he got a little prodding. And
well, yeah, he was talking about how everything he likes about it. What he always feels comfortable here. He likes it here, and so I think I asked him, so can you see yourself here? And yeah, I can see myself here. And well, what do you see? Well, I see myself as a dominating wide receiver, and eventually a little bit of prodding, and you hear Pac-Man Jones in the background saying, basically like egging him on. And so we're all like, what's this about? And he's like, sheepish. And then so you push him a little more. Are you going to commit? What are you doing? You commit? It's like, yeah, I guess I'm committing. And so he announced that. That was pretty neat. I've never experienced that before. I've seen commitments from afar or behind the windows, on the other side of the windows behind us. But to have it there and have the family kind of egging him on and celebrating afterwards, that was pretty neat.
yeah, it was a really cool moment. Obviously, a huge get for Ohio State. Going to be one of the top receivers come out of the state of Ohio in quite a while. But there were some other guys here. Tony, who did you get to talk to, and what are your takeaways?
Talked with Rowan Byrne, 2025 offensive lineman from the East Coast, who is really, really good to talk to because what he was most impressed about is how everything is so detailed at Ohio State. And he said it was kind of a surprise because his image of Ohio State comes from his knowledge of Urban Meyer, and a lot of the knowledge of Urban Meyer comes from as he said, 86 arrests in 2 years at Florida. And so he gets here and he's like, it wasn't, this is a buttoned up program. It wasn't like that at all. So he got, I think he said he left like 4 a.m. and spent 8 or 9 hours with coaches and the campus and the football facility, and was just really, really impressed and talk about the development that they do at Ohio State. And so he'll be at Michigan on Saturday, Notre Dame on Sunday, and he's about a year away from a decision. Probably wants to decide before his.
Hey, you want to cover recruiting? Where's he leaning, Tony? What's the percentages?
Well, you know what, Mark, you're gonna have to go behind the paywall for that information. He said, I think Ohio State did everything, answered everything he wanted to do, and really one of the other things that he took that separates Ohio State for him is the after when your career is done, if you haven't graduated yet, you can come back and get your degree. And he said no other place has talked to him about that. No other place has even told him they have that. And Ohio State's the only place that has told him, 1 year, playing days are done or whatever, you can come back to school for as long as you want. And the thing is, he wants to be a vet. He wants to be a veterinarian. Favorite animals, cats, doesn't matter what kind.
Cat person. How many cat? You want a cat person in the trenches? I would kind of want a dog person in the trenches personally.
You know what? Maybe you should have been in that interview and you could have brought that up.
Yeah,
but
I'm gonna have to talk to him.
So he said, I'm going to be in school for more than 4 years, and so to have that paid for after whatever, is something that struck him.
Yeah. Another really good offensive lineman here from the East Coast, Matty Augustine, 2025, out of Connecticut. Same school as Miles Walker, so he knows Miles very well, current Ohio State freshman offensive tackle. Miles having a ball here, apparently. Just talking to Matty, Miles is thrilled with his time here so far, is loving everything. Matty's very high on Ohio State early on, 2 early visits. Camped in June, got the offer, came back, also picked up Alabama this summer, so he's becoming a national recruit. But Ohio State's got themselves in the game there for sure. With him, teammate Ethan Long, 2025 safety, 4-star safety prospect. Same story. Came into camp in June with Matty, got the offer, coming back a month later. I think they're in great shape for Ethan Long. Notre Dame, I think, is probably the big competition right now. He wants to get out of the Northeast. Doesn't want to stay close to Connecticut. Ohio State, he's going to visit Notre Dame Sunday. They both are. And so this could be an early Ohio State-Notre Dame battle shaping up for Ethan Long, who super impressed with Ohio State. Came in second to Ryan Day in the home run derby, which is another thing we need to discuss.
That's the biggest story, but we can get,
and but we'll get to that in a second. But a big takeaway for me from this event, other than obviously the magnitude of Chris Henry's commitment, is maybe that Ethan Long is a pretty big Buckeye lean. I think at this point, I think they're doing a great job there.
Do you think are they the dreaded package deal or the?
It's funny. We were talking about that, and it's like, your teammates. Well, no, we're not just teammates. We live together. Maddie's family is Ethan's host family at this prestigious school he goes to in Connecticut, and so he's the host family. His family lives about an hour away from the school, so they're very close. We made the kind of the stepbrothers joke. We should put their faces on the stepbrothers poster or whatever. But so they spend a lot of time together. They go on all their visits together. Package deal. Do I think they end up at the same school? I think that's very possible, if not likely. But if nothing else, they are going to talk very thoroughly about every visit they take, and they're going to bounce things off of each other. So I think whichever school wants to get one of them, you better be kind of giving them the same kind of talks, because if you mess it up with one, that could hurt you with the other. So you want to keep it consistent there, I think, if you're a school that's recruiting both of them. So that was very interesting. But yes, let's talk about Ryan Day. And I gave Ethan some crap about this. I'm like, look, you had a building full of 4- and 5-star athletes, and you lost to an old guy in the home run derby. How should we? Is that a red flag for all these attendees here?
Well, it is not, because as Rowan Byrne told me, Ryan Day was going to play baseball at New Hampshire, but they got rid of the program the year before he arrived, or like the year he arrived. So he was going to play baseball and football at New Hampshire. And, so I asked, like, were you surprised that the head coach won it? He said, very surprised. It caught him off guard. And as he said, he's like, I haven't played I don't play baseball anymore. But that's a pretty big recruiting tool for a football coach. Maybe, what? I'm thinking of this now as they're planning this Summerfest, and they have like water balloons and dodgeball and all of these things. And I bet in the background the entire time Ryan Day is like, and a home run hitting contest. Don't forget the home run derby. And they're like, and we could do some kickball. And Ryan Day's like, home run derby, don't forget it. And then he's trying to put it on the whiteboard just to make sure, just because he wanted to feel young again, because I bet he knew kids today don't play baseball anymore. And so this was his opportunity. This is like when you're going to beat up on your little brother. And boy, what was it, 9-6, 9-8, something like that?
He
hit
had
9.
Ethan had 8. And Ethan had some great commentary on that, because I asked Ethan the same thing. Were you surprised? And he was like, no, he had a look in his eye. he said he could see it in Ryan Day's eyes before the competition started, that he knew something that everyone else didn't, apparently. So Ethan Long decidedly not surprised that Ryan Day wiped the floor with all of them.
So were they at the softball stadium?
I don't know where they had. I don't know if it's a softball field, or if they just set up a field at the indoor, maybe a smaller field at the indoor. Was it wiffle ball?
How legit are these home runs? But you know what? If everybody, as Ryan Day likes to say, if everybody's playing by the same rules, which they were, then a win is a win.
Well, we'll see Ryan in like a week, right?
Oh, I'm sure we will definitely ask him.
About the home run derby.
I can't mention any names, but I killed them all. Something like that.
We will get to the bottom of this one way or the other. Any other big takeaways from this? It was a good event.
It was.
We thought we weren't quite sure what we'd get out of this, but it turned out very good.
You show it because you're not quite sure, and then stuff just keeps happening. Guys are coming out. We're all trying to record stuff, post stuff, write stuff. It's better than the alternative when we just take pictures as everybody walks by. So it was good. The Chris Henry thing was really, really cool, and everybody was happy about that. The family, the coaches, whatever. There was not a dry eye in the house. Not that people were crying, but it was emotional.
Luka Gilbert, 2025 tight end, also here, looking very solid, 6'7" kid. One of my top prospects in Ohio for 25. Ohio State's in pretty good shape there early on. Going to Michigan on Sunday for the barbecue. Said he doesn't know anything about the program. He's going to find out there. So Ohio State's in there early with maybe a little head start. So,
but Michigan with their tight ends,
yes, Michigan's going to hit.
That's going to be something. And Colston Loveland will probably be walking him around and talking to him. But I thought it was interesting how he's got his own personal coach. He's catching the football all the time right now, doing a bunch of that stuff, working on that, because I think that's something that he needs to continue to work on. And you talked to him about how much he loves to block as well.
Yeah. And that was really fascinating because the book on him is he's a 6'7" basketball skinny athlete. And so you think, oh, Jimmy Graham, or you're thinking, oh, flex out, he's going to be soft. And he actually prefers to block. And he's essentially, he was always the tall kid growing up. And when you play, Little League football or Pop Warner football, there's usually there's weight restrictions, things like that. So like all the tall kids play the offensive line, no matter how athletic they are. And so he always did that growing up, and so he just got accustomed to blocking and enjoys it. So that's probably music to the ears of the coaches at Ohio State.
Yep.
But great great event here. Great news for Ohio State. Aaron Scott committing Sunday. We will be there. We will see what happens. I'm not going to look. My pick's been on Ohio State. Backpedaling wouldn't do me any good anyway right now. So I'm rolling with Ohio State on Sunday, but we will be there. Good, bad, or indifferent. We will see what happens. Ohio State has really made this kid a priority here the last year or two, and they're really this is one. This is meaningful. This is meaningful because while Oregon has made their push, it really is probably Ohio State and Michigan. It's probably Oregon is probably 3, and you've lost the last 2 games to them. You got some defensive questions you've had to answer over the years. People are still getting on you about your defensive recruiting. This would go a long way for morale, I think, in a lot of different areas. Yeah,
it would certainly kind of end the summer in a disappointing fashion for Buckeye fans if that happens, and I'm sure for the Ohio State coaches as they get ready for camp. So this would be a nice little boost, and the recruiting morale perhaps would pick up.
Yep. So we'll be on top of that on Sunday. So tune in to BuckeyeHuddle.com, YouTube.com/BuckeyeHuddle for all your coverage of that. And we'll have plenty of interviews and videos coming from tonight's event as well over the weekend, so stay tuned for those as well. But thanks everyone for watching, listening, and we will talk to you next time.